Welcome to AI ConvoCast, where we bring you the latest in AI and tech innovation. Please don't forget to rate, review, and share if you like what you hear. Let's jump right in.
Today, we will be covering OpenAI's surprisingly fast price cut on its GPT-5.6 models, Google's new Pixel 11 built around Gemini, Meta's return to open models with Muse Glimmer, and a federal judge growing skeptical of the Pentagon's move to blacklist Anthropic. Let's start with OpenAI, which just cut prices on two of its GPT-5.6 models only about 3 weeks after they launched. That timing is the story here. Normally, a frontier lab lets a new model sit for a while before touching the price, so a cut this fast breaks the usual pattern. What's notable is why they did it. OpenAI says the reduction comes from improvements to the systems serving the model, meaning they got more efficient at running it, not that they swapped in a weaker version. For developers, that's a meaningful distinction. You're paying less for the exact same intelligence. Inference price is just the cost to actually run a model on each request, and when it drops, the math changes on what's affordable to build. Coding agents that make thousands of calls, customer support bots, research pipelines, anything high volume suddenly becomes cheaper to operate at scale. The bigger takeaway is where the competition is heading. For a while, the race was about who had the smartest model. Increasingly, it's about who can deliver enough intelligence at production prices. And that puts real pressure on Anthropic, Google, and the cheaper open model providers to answer on cost. Next up, Google held its Made by Google event in New York, unveiling the Pixel 11 generation, with pre-orders expected right away. The through line is that Google is designing the phone around Gemini, rather than treating AI as a separate app you open. That means model features can tap into what's actually happening on your device, your photos, your calls, your context, and cut down the number of steps to get something done. On recent Pixels, that already shows up as conversational, multi-step photo editing, where you can just describe and edit in plain language, and automated handling of missed calls. When AI is built into the operating system instead of living in a downloadable chatbot, it can act on device context directly, which is the whole pitch. The real test is competitive. Google has genuine advantages in its models and in search, and the open question is whether it can turn those into a phone experience distinctive enough to put pressure on Apple and Samsung. The direction across the industry is clear here. The fight isn't about adding a chatbot button anymore. It's about rebuilding the core workflows of the phone around models. Now to Meta, which released Muse Glimmer, an open-weight model built to run on a personal computer. And Mark Zuckerberg said developers will also get access to the more powerful Muse Spark 1.2. The reason this matters is that there had been real uncertainty about whether Meta's strongest systems would stay closed, and this is an explicit recommitment to downloadable models. Open weights let developers customize a model and run it locally without paying per-request API fees or sending sensitive data off to someone else's servers, which is a big deal for privacy-focused and cost-sensitive teams. Zuckerberg paired the release with a roughly 6,500-word argument for widely distributed AI, framing it as a balance of power issue and pushing back on concentrating frontier capabilities in a few institutions. That puts Meta in direct philosophical opposition to the more controlled release approach of OpenAI and Anthropic. Meta also says an independent board will review its model release safety criteria. One nuance worth flagging: developer discussion welcomed having a local option, but kept debating whether open weights should really be called fully open source, since releasing the weights isn't the same as releasing everything about how a model was built. Finally, Anthropic is picking up momentum in its legal fight with the Pentagon. During arguments on August 12th, a federal judge signaled growing skepticism toward the government's decision to designate Anthropic a supply chain risk, reportedly saying the government's case had gotten worse. The backdrop is a dispute over model safeguards and government access. And there's an interesting wrinkle. Anthropic is simultaneously still involved in helping shape government frontier model safety practices, even while challenging this designation. The stakes go well beyond one company. A ruling for Anthropic could limit the government's ability to exclude an AI supplier through broad national security labels without a stronger evidentiary and procedural basis. That matters to enterprises too, since federal contracting rules can constrain which models companies are allowed to use. However this comes out, it could set an early precedent for how much procurement power the government can use to influence model policy.
Thank you for listening to AI Convo Cast. Please don't forget to rate, review, and share if you like what you hear. Thanks and hope to see you again next time.